TakeTones.com. TakeTones.com.
Homie showed up to my crib and dropped a letter in my mailbox. It said, "Happy Boss Day." Trying to make fun of what I was basically telling him. I said, hey, the things y'all judging me about, I'm trying to do things in a different light. Some of the same things that Joe has to also experience. They wrote on it, which was, is a low-key threat. Anybody show up to your crib, that's a threat. Nigga, how you even know where my crib at? I'll tell you another thing. I took special precaution to make sure when I bought this house, I bought it cash. If anybody told you different, tell them prove the paperwork. I got a deed upstairs. Not only that, showed up to my crib, dropped a letter in the mailbox, thinking you were going to intimidate me. Well, at that point, you got to do something, nigga. I don't think you planned this out, Rory. You thought that there was another level where, you were going to get me scared and then I was going to just stop. No, I'm going to double down. And by the way, this is another reason, and by the way, I'm going to get into all this shit. The whole thing with Joe, and I know there's certain people who are on the fence or maybe even like them two bozos. Remember this. I wasn't 100%, I was 80% sure. Well, 80, 70% sure that nigga showed up to my crib. I'm going to tell you how I knew it was 100% sure. A day after the letter was dropped off in my post box, and I found it, we had it in the crib. After that, he tweeted out a zip code that was accurate with where I'm at. Y'all could keep believing coincidences. But if somebody show up and drop something off in your post box and then is tweeting out your zip code, it's clear they're probably thinking you didn't get the first message. They're trying to send you a second. So I don't care what that nigga is trying to say publicly and whoever believes him. Right there, you fucked up and you crossed an egregious line. Anybody in this chat, if a nigga who's talking slick about you show up to your crib, what are you gonna do? I want everybody to, even if you're a woman, I want you to answer that question. Somebody show up to your crib, you don't know. I met that bozo one time at Joe's crib, and I saw him at Carl Cherry's party in LA because he was in there gawking, double-handing, dick-sucking. And I went in there like, yo, Carl, my guy, I'm going to just come up in here and I don't like industry event. He asked me for a long time to come, and I seen that bozo in the elevator. It was me and 10 niggas. If it was really smoke, by the time he was really sneakness and it was nothing near what he did later, we could have packed him out, but I don't present that energy. I'm not about that. Y'all know what I'm about. I don't ever present energy like that. It was him and some chick. It was me and 10 niggas because I was moving in LA niggas all wanted to kill me. That's how I was going. The nigga was in the elevator with me. I ain't saying nothing to him, but I knew he was kind of sneakness, and I'm like, I could check him here, but I'm like, I ain't gonna do it. I'm giving y'all the context for anybody who has any doubt. If one thing y'all will realize, Akademiks never, doesn't, will ever lie. I tell y'all the truth. The reason why, and by the way, this probably could even been handled civilly. But when you're lying about your part in people showing up to my place, you're not somebody who we could even accept an apology from, try to talk it out. Because he did try to get on the phone. He hit up people that hit up me to be like, yo, let's get on the phone. Why am I going to get on the phone if you're still in denial? You won't even admit what you did. I don't want to talk to you, brother. You crossed the line and now you're lying about it. And by the way, when pressed about it, he claimed his fiance at the time had Guyanese killers. I kid you not. Y'all keep getting that Joe, I'm going to tell you, matter of fact, I really want to play this. I want to play a song in this. And I thought Joe should have, I'm going to be honest. I thought Joe should have reached out and be like, yo, Ak, I'm going to handle this. Yo, this is what he's saying on his side. Joe's my guy who's the middle guy. But I think even Joe realized, and I heard it on the pod. We gonna play some of it. Yo, by the way, Joe, Again, I ain't talked to Joe even today. I'm gonna promote his Patreon, so like, yo, if I use any clips, he got this episode exclusively available on his Patreon. Support him. But Joe has never ever told me, ever, like, yo, yo, this is going on with them. We've never talked about them at all, ever. I'm telling you, y'all know I don't lie. I don't got nothing to lie about. And because I'm putting this on the record, you know, if something came out later, I would look like a fool. And I always like to tell the truth, because no matter whatever comes out later in the future, I'll never look like a fool. I tell the truth first. Me and Joe never talked about these. Actually, I'll just tell it. You know, and Joe, like, again, you kind of aired out whatever you say you was transparent, so you know me, I'm gonna keep it transparent. So remember I told you we talked two times. One time had nothing to do with them bozos. And this is in the last couple months. Me and Joe don't talk like that. I don't talk to Joe like that. Joe called me and Joe said, I was watching some YouTube videos and you made this claim about allegedly what homie side chick said. And Joe, you know this is, no listen, you know when I talk, nobody ever come out and be like, I'm lying? Nobody ever says that. So you know I'm telling the truth. This is after they missed the episode. Facts. They missed the episode. Joe, I don't know what was going on behind the scenes with them. Joe called me. Joe was like, yo, one thing I know you're not is a liar. You had mentioned in one of your rants, and I was going down a rabbit hole on YouTube, and you said, homie was complaining about his pay, or you heard through his side chick or whoever that is, right, that he was a little bit disgruntled about the pay. He's like, I'm only calling you just to see if, like, you weren't just saying that, right? Because I don't know you to be a liar. And I said to Joe, Joe, no, that's actually a fact. To be honest, I wanted to ask Joe, like, yo, what's going on with him? Because y'all just took a day off. I ain't know nothing was going on. I promise y'all. So I want y'all to get that out of y'all mind. Joe ain't feed me no information. None of that type of shit. If anything, Joe is calling me like, yo, I heard you said some shit, like, what's going on? I'm going to be honest with you. Let me even give y'all the update. You know how I found out these bozos was planning another strike? Yo, Mealy Moore, your homie hit me up and told me. I won't say no name, nigga. Your homie hit me up, bruh. Rory, your side chick gave it up, bruh. Joe ain't tell me shit. Joe ain't have to tell me shit. And you know how, listen, I always felt bad going at you bozo niggas because I love Joe. I really love Joe. And I've grown so much respect for, like, even though we've gone our separate ways and doing a show together, I see what he's doing. And I think he sees what I'm doing. And my love for him and even adoration, because he does shit that I'll never do. And I'll tell him, like, I'll never. We had mad conversation about, like, how we dealt with, certain companies. I'm like, yo, Joe, I wouldn't do it like that. And we have our reasons and we disagree with whatever, and it's cool. But for all the information that I heard, Rory, your side chick gave that up. Rory, people you called in the industry gave that up. Rory, I know 3 to 4 people you was calling bitching about Joe, my nigga. And by the way, when Joe called me, he asked about that. I even brought up, I said, Joe, I'm going to keep it real with you. I'll explain more about the side chick shit because I don't know who, like, she not connected to the industry like that. But the other people who that nigga is ranted to in the industry, I won't mention their name. Like, I'm not going to tell you who that is. Because those people told me, like, yo, I see what's going on. Like, don't say I told you, but, like, yo, them niggas is, yo, that dude Rory called me and he complained about Joe. This is multiple dudes. So if y'all thinking that Joe gave me thing, I'm telling y'all know academics don't lie. Joe Budden never told me. I'm so real. The only thing, because I did kind of slight. I didn't really want to ask him all the way after I told him about the side chick shit. I was like, yo, everything cool over there? And he was like, it looked like homies disgruntled. That's what I said about Rory. And he said, you know how it is. You know people are emotional. That's it. I promise you, that's it. Then we talked about Complex. We talked about some other shit. We talked about just the landscape in general. We talked about probably like Dave Chappelle. Ask Joe, I ain't got time to be lying. This is exactly how it went down. Everything good with you. Everything good with me. Yo, some creator shit. We start, kind of like, it's always like we kind of challenge each other, like, ideology and philosophy on and perspective on certain shit. And then we hung up. That's it. I promise you. So if you are in here and you think that Joe told me a motherfucking thing, no. And if he did, I would have told y'all niggas. I would have been like, now, here's the thing where people are really dumb. And this is why I felt like Joe had to violate them niggas today. You know why Joe had to violate them? Because the audience, his audience, completely turned on him. They started believing he's this horrible person. Y'all been following him for 7 years. The reason why I gave some context to me and Joe is that, listen, I know who Joe is and who Joe not. And I was only working with that nigga for 9 months. Joe's an asshole. Joe ain't gonna, yo, it's been times that we in meetings and we after situations, yo, where people, where normal people would be like, yo, okay, about feelings and third. I've heard Joe be like, yo, fuck that feelings. Nigga, if you gonna be on your feelings, leave, nigga. Straight up. Told me that, told the Deska that. Ask the Deska. We were in a meeting after Ray J. Ray J had some shit. We brought Ray J on the show. Joe ain't really want Ray J on the show. The episodes, whatever. We got into it. We had a meeting right after that because it was just like really conflicted on how we were getting guests because we had a voting system and the Deska was, you know, she felt a certain way about certain shit Joe said. And I'm gonna be honest, Joe was like, nigga, leave. That was one of the times we separated. There was times when I came on Twitch and I was giving my side, but truth be told, I didn't say to Joe, or we weren't having those powwows there because I didn't feel like I was in a place and a situation to really air that out there. So I was kind of ranting on Twitch. And Joe was on some shit like, yo, man, yo, Complex, get this nigga the fuck off Twitch. Like, yo, bro, Joe is not the nigga who be on, like, he's not the most emotional friendly nigga ever, bro. And I'm not defending that nigga for that. That's what it is. But I'm going to tell you, if I learned that in 9 months, you've been with that nigga for 6, 7 years, you should know who you're dealing with. If I work with Joe ever again, nigga, I know what type of nigga he is. He gonna give it up. I'm gonna tell you, Joe is like, he top 1, if not top 2, best voice in hip hop. I consider him Charlemagne right there, 1, 2. Bruh, if you gonna play with LeBron, you gonna deal with a couple of things, nigga. If you gonna play with one of the top, again, everybody got their faults. Now you gotta make your own decision. Could you deal with how he is personally? Now, business-wise, I told y'all how I dealt. I don't care how great Joe is. Like, his greatness don't translate to my business. That's fine. Somebody said my bit rate's bugging? Don't tell me that. Nah, I'm not getting stressed. I'm chilling. How we lagging, though? Are we good? Chat Queen was good. My bad. So, and I forgot where I was at. I forgot a bit where I was at. I'm sorry if it's lagging a little bit. I don't know. For some reason, when I do day streams, it lags a little bit. I don't know if it's Twitch or it's a general area where I'm at. The point of what I'm saying is that we all know Joe. Let me give you one of the things. And this is why I looked at them and I'm like, yo, you know why Joe had to air them out like that today? Because Joe saw people flipping on him because he's been too nice of a guy. At his worst with me and Joe, and shit, we had times that was a little whatever. Joe knew I had my own audiences and third. You know who's flipping on Joe right now? Joe's own audience. They're believing some dudes who, they don't do nothing but show up when they're asked to. They didn't put in work. They didn't sacrifice their career. Joe had a whole music career that pretty much went up in flames, and he uses content from that and gives it up every day. He uses his personal, gives it up every day to entertain the audience. I'm not here to defend Joe. I'm just telling you the facts. I just want to show you the difference where these dudes that y'all are looking at, and y'all are probably like, oh, Joe did his homies wrong. It's business. If a nigga got to tell you no matter how good your friend is, you need to do your own business and you have your own lawyer and conduct your own shit from day one, and you wait 6 years later And now you trying to tell my audit, like you never did it in day one. You never did it in day two. You never did it in year one, year two, year three, year four. 6 years later, now you're trying to do everything. You're going to look funny. And then when the reason why you're doing it, because you heard, again, I'm going to play Joe clips. The reason why you're doing it is because somebody who Joe worked with in the past, me, called y'all a worker, and now you're pressed. You're trying to prove to the internet, but y'all niggas, you know, these niggas come from, I don't know what type of, they be talking about the cloth. This is Versace. What cloth is this? I don't know what this is. But anyway, the cloth that they're from is to talking subliminals like bitches. You not Jay-Z, nigga. You not a rapper. You're a broadcaster. Talking in subliminals don't work. Express yourself. If you got a problem with something, talk about it. Whether you like it or not, nigga, I've managed to fucking, what do you call, luck up or whatever. I'm in a position that affect hip-hop culture and news. Joe understands that. If topics come up surrounding me, he want to discuss it. Y'all niggas so pussy in your feelings, he can't talk about it. And I really thought this, and this is what I'm saying. I learned shit when I was listening to the podcast today. I thought Joe was preventing them from talking. I promise you this, I thought Joe, who's smart, knowing that if Rory came to my house, you have brought it outside of a place that is even throwing jabs and barbs back vocally. You have brought it to a place that hip-hop, we're hoping never gets back to. That Taxstone Troy Ave shit, bro, you should never be on an interview talking about, yo, if nigga run up on me, I'm killing. Like, it should never be that with broadcasters. So when you show up to a nigga's crib, you brought it to a very uncomfortable space. I'm going to be honest with you. I took mad precautions. Rory, you probably showed up to my crib afterwards. I got gates, electrical, fences, additional cameras, everything. We got to prepare because you brought it into real life. Nobody was doing that before you. You don't want to take any accountability. So at that point, Joe can't mediate some shit. You can't try to do some shit in real life and Joe's gonna laugh it off with me. That's not how it is. So at that point, he's trying to leave it to your own devices. I thought that Joe probably told y'all, yo, bro, you already fucked up by doing some shit like that. I'm gonna keep it real because, Joe always says he wants to stay out of street shit and blah, blah, anything that could really result in the shit. I thought Joe was saying, I don't want y'all to talk about this man on my podcast anymore because if anything y'all say about him that is of negative or ill will, and then something happens, it will be used in court. So I thought that's the reason why they never brought me up, and it's cool. I never knew that y'all niggas are behind the scenes with Joe, like, yo, why you so friends with him? Why? Me and Vlad were cool. Joe don't like Vlad from a can of paint. I've tried to squash it. He don't fuck with Vlad. You think Joe could, and me and Joe was on a very successful show. You think Joe could be like, yo, bro, if you want me and you to be cool, don't fuck with Vlad. Bro, learn how to compartmentalize. All right, cool. He don't fuck with Vlad. I ain't gonna bring that into a space. If I'm ever doing anything with him, I ain't gonna bring some Vlad shit to him. It's cool. But that's the problem with the Stooges. I heard it today. I was like, what the fuck? So they're telling Joe, if you friends with us, don't fuck with Ak. And then on the flip side, they telling him, yo, we want to audit you. We want to do business shit. We don't believe you. We don't believe you as a friend. We want to look at the papers. So is it friendship or business? Because if it's business, if Joe Budden goes and do a podcast, which rapper I might not fuck with, or not podcast, any type of content with a rapper I don't fuck with, somebody I don't like, you think I can hit him up like, yo, bro, nah, I'm good off you. But that's what these two bozos try to do. That's what these two bozos tried to do. Now, I'm going to say a few more things before I get into the clip because we're going to break this down. We're going to break this down like a fucking fraction in algebra. Okay? But I'm going to just say this overall, especially to Rory. You let your ego ruin something that was good for you. And y'all can sit here and blame Joe all you want. By the way, I heard Joe, and by the way, because I want to keep going clip to clip, I'm going to tell you some of what he said and just kind of give my thoughts on it. Joe said, basically, wait, I own the podcast. So even if they're entitled to a certain percentage of maybe profits, the IP is owned by Joseph Budden. It was started before Rory. It was started before Mealy Mall. He birthed that IP as a thought when somebody mentioned some shit to him and he said, yo, me and my rap experience and the fact that I know how to talk and I'm a little savvy with certain internet shit, how about me and my friends just kick it and talk about what's going on a pod? That's the IP. It's owned by Joe Budden. It's non-negotiable. And this is where it gets interested in an online space because fans grow so much in love with people like a Rory and a Mealy Mall, you actually think that Joe's product should be broken up. Let me tell you this. And let's talk business. Stop with the friendship shit. I am the only member I've missed 2 episodes ever of Everyday Struggle. And that was because of a suspension. I was forced to. Every other episode I've been on. Nadeska missed at least, I believe, 10. Wayno wasn't there for the first season. First and second, whatever. Let me tell you this. And this is why I hate when fans start using who they like. And I seen them like really hammering at Joe. If you ask me, Joe Budden, at least from what I know, deserves the creator / IP of Everyday Struggle. If you ask me, I came into that situation. Now, let me tell you how business works. Not because I was sitting across from him, and for a lot of people, and even maybe the audience who came there, they're like, oh, we love Ak, we came. Not because of that, meant I deserved half of the ownership. I still don't believe I deserve the ownership. This shit was birthed. Did I come in and play a big role even while Joe was there and after he left? Yes, I did a lot of legwork. Did I negotiate all that? Of course. I became executive producer. I also gained a percentage on the all the ads coming in. Whatever was profit, I gained a percentage. Cool. But am I the owner of that show? I am not. Was I a worker when it came to that show? I was employed to be a host. I worked. So I'm watching people who are saying, yo, they built this with Joe, they built that with Joe. Is it because you are hypnotized by these 2 dudes and you like them? Because here's the thing. I always said this, and this went into my whole soliloquy about why these dudes were irrelevant. I said, if Joe Budden gets on camera, but by the way, let me just start off, Rip. These dudes have never proved their worth without Joe Budden not sitting next to him. How do you know your worth? How do you know your worth? You've never shown people, hey, I'm a valuable asset when it's just me alone on a mic. Hey, I'm a valuable asset when it's just me and Mealy Mall off and alone off Joe Budden's podcast or off Joe Budden's network. You've never established your worth. So whatever you think your worth is supplemented because you know Joe Budden is sitting right next to you. And I told you this. Joe Budden showed up with a name, celebrity, a history, and a fan base. And those people were there for a long time. They watched the ups and downs of his life and his career in rap. And then eventually they landed on a podcast. But let's just be very clear. They're watching Joe and whoever. Now, I always said this. This is why Everyday Struggle was great. The people who watch me this is a good population. It's like a bunch say, yo, we love act the truth. And then there's I would say 40% is like, yo, man, I hate how nobody challenged. Yo, I want somebody to get at him. That's why Everyday Struggle was great. You know why the numbers was out of this world? People couldn't wait for act to get checked. You know why? You know why also the numbers was out of this world? People couldn't wait for Joe to talk to young niggas and talk to people with a different perspective. So it was the best of both worlds. I brought in the people who like me, but the people who dislike me, they finally got somebody to root for. Joe brought in people he liked, but also people like, yo, damn, yo, Joe just like, he got an old nigga mentality. They had somebody who they could root for as well. We brought in everybody. Great. But then you look at what the Joe Budden podcast is. These dudes became just names off of Joe Budden literally having an audience and continuing and building what he got going on. They brought nothing to the table. I try to give him advice. Y'all should start a podcast outside of Joe. Y'all should do this outside of Joe. Y'all should establish some worth outside of Joe. And y'all gonna see, Joe said exactly, y'all think Joe told me everything because I'm not an idiot. I could have seen it a mile away. Everything I'm saying, if you couldn't have predicted this, you're either a dick rider or you're dumb. It doesn't take much business sense. Everything. They have no leverage and they're negotiating with Joe. They're hoping Joe's own fans turns on him for them. The smartest thing Joe could have done. And by the way, Joe, I'm going to tell you this right now. Always having an auxiliary podcast. Always bringing guests. Even the new dudes. No disrespect to them. Every couple of weeks, bring 2 other new dudes around. You know why? Everybody eventually feels themselves. They negate the fact that the reason why when they go out and they get recognized is because they're on a platform that you built. He said it, they're lazy. He offered, yo, go build a YouTube. Lazy. Imagine a nigga thinking he's an owner of a product. And this is what I was saying. I was talking about hiring a bit when I really broke them niggas down. And I said, this is what you're missing with Joe. Y'all are talking about these dudes deserve this. But they're only clocking in like workers. They're showing up and they're leaving. Y'all want to know how I knew that? Well, I know, well, I didn't say it, but I know now. I knew Joe knew that them niggas was probably not going to show up. You know why I knew? In Joe's vacation, he planned basically a media, it's a media tour. I think he got one of the new niggas doing some AMA. That's a rollout. So I already conditioned, I'm like, yo, Joe is knowing that them niggas might not come back. But here's the thing. For all the people who have this little fucked up little thinking, this nigga, Joe is doing interviews. He's trying to manage a network. He's doing, the work is not showing up 2 hours and doing a podcast or 3 hours. That's not the work. If you're an entrepreneur and you think the work is only showing up at the time, you're not an entrepreneur. The majority of the work is before that. If you think the work is just me getting on stream, you don't know about anything about running a business. If you think the work is just, here's a couple YouTube videos, you don't know anything about running business. The people who work for me have the luxury of only doing what I employ them to do. For me, I got to promote, cross-promote. Okay, cool. So that might entail all of marketing. All right, so what are we going to do? Let's try to get some partnerships. Let's entertain these deals. Okay, cool. While you kicking at home on this weekend, they need me to fly out to LA to entertain some type of conversation that could better what I got going on. You think I'm going to do all that work behind the scenes? Also, I'm paying out of pocket. And the nigga who only shows up when he's contracted to show up is going to then tell me that he owns a part of what I got? Are you fucking stupid? Joe didn't have to tell me shit. It was obvious. They put themselves in that position. And y'all can say all y'all want about, Joe's acting like how Spotify act. You want me to tell you the big difference between that? These dudes, if they cared about equity and whatever, and they wanted to be partners or bosses, whatever the case is, they should have done that way before it got to the point that they were at Spotify. They should have done it way before. And by the way, I have some blame for Joe. I think Joe allowed them niggas. And by the way, Joe, this is all your fault. Never allow. This is Joe Budden platform. You shouldn't allow people to speak on your platform like their bosses like you. So, because once the audience believed that, they felt entitled to start requesting shit like they were bosses from you. But anyway, let me get into a couple of clips. I think we got some. Let me see.